Dr. Kim stood in the silent archive room, her eyes tired from hours of careful work. The only light came from her small desk lamp, casting long shadows across the walls. She held a broken piece of stone in her gloved hands, turning it carefully to catch the light. For 3 years now, she had searched for answers about a mysterious human warship. The name appeared in whispers across ancient texts from many worlds. The Reckoning. Always, the record showed signs of being deliberately destroyed. Another mention erased. She whispered to herself, running her finger along a jagged edge where someone had chiseled away text. This makes the 17th world with records of this ship. The tablet fragment came from the ruins of Stylos, a world at the edge of explored space. Like all the others, someone had tried to destroy any mention of the Reckoning, but they had missed this small piece, buried under fallen temple stones for centuries. Kim adjusted her light to use the spectral analyzer. The device revealed hidden markings invisible to the naked eye, markings that matched fragments found on worlds thousands of light years apart. They all used the same tool to destroy these records, she noted, making careful entries into her research log. Not random vandalism. A coordinated effort across the galaxy. Her quiet work was interrupted by the soft chime of her communication device. She frowned at the display before answering. "Professor Park, it's late. Is something wrong?" The holographic image of an older man with a stern expression appeared above her desk. "Where are you, Kim?" "Not still in the archives." "I found another fragment," she replied, ignoring his disapproval. "Same pattern as the others." Park sighed heavily. "That's why I'm calling. I just received a formal message from the Galactic Conclave." Kim's heart sank. "Let me guess. They want me to stop." "Effective immediately," Park confirmed. "They cite historical sensitivity concerns." "That's the third such request this year," Kim said. "What are they so afraid of?" "It's just an old warship." Park's eyes darted to the side, checking if anyone might be listening. "Kim, I've supported your research because you're the most brilliant xenorchaeologist I've ever taught. But even I think you should consider dropping this particular subject." "Why?" "We rewrite history books all the time when new evidence appears. This is different." Park lowered his voice. "Some history isn't just forgotten. It's buried for good reasons." "What reasons?" Kim pressed. Park's expression hardened. "I can't say more. Just know that continuing this research could affect your career. The Conclave has considerable influence over research funding." "Are you threatening me, Professor?" "Warning you. As a friend." His tone softened slightly. "Some things are better left forgotten. Kim, trust me on this." The call ended before she could respond. Kim sat back in her chair, frustrated. 3 years of research, and all she had were fragments, whispers, and now threats. She began carefully packing her equipment. The archive would close soon, and she needed to get her findings secured in her private lab. As she placed the tablet fragment in a protective case, her terminal chimed with an incoming message. Unknown origin. No identification code. The security protocols should have blocked it entirely. Cautiously, she opened it. The message was simple. The truth about the Reckoning was buried for a reason. If you truly wish to know, meet me at coordinates attached. Come alone. Kim stared at the message, her finger hovering over the delete button. This could be a trap, or her first real lead. She copied the coordinates to her personal device before wiping the message from the system. The location was in the outer rings of the central spaceport, a neutral zone frequently used for discreet meetings. Outside the archive, the artificial night cycle of the space station had begun. Most researchers had returned to their quarters, leaving the wide corridors empty. Kim walked quickly, her footsteps echoing slightly against the metal floors. At her small apartment, she changed from her work clothes into something less noticeable. Dark pants and a simple jacket that wouldn't draw attention in the spaceport's crowded lower levels. She hesitated before opening a locked drawer in her desk. The small protection pistol had been a gift from her brother when she first left Earth for off-world studies. "Just in case," he had said. In 5 years, she had never needed it. Tonight, she tucked it into her inside pocket. The station's transport system operated through the night cycle. Kim boarded an empty car, setting it for the commercial district nearest the coordinates. From there, she would walk the rest of the way. As she rode, she reviewed what little concrete information she had gathered about the reckoning. It was a human warship, operational approximately 300 years ago, during humanity's first major interstellar conflict. Beyond that, facts gave way to rumors: impossible weapons, a captain who defied orders, entire fleets destroyed in minutes. The transport stopped, doors opening to the bright lights and noisy crowds of the commerce ring. Even at this hour, traders and travelers from 100 worlds moved through the wide hallways. Kim pulled her hood up and slipped into the crowd. She checked her device. The coordinates led to a small tea house in a quieter section, popular with species that preferred limited social interaction. Perfect for a secret meeting. Kim paused outside, scanning the establishment through the large windows. About half the tables were occupied, mostly by solitary figures focused on their own business. Nothing seemed immediately threatening. She entered, the door chiming softly. A server nodded in greeting but didn't approach. The custom in this place was to let customers seat themselves. Kim chose a table with her back to the wall, facing the entrance. She ordered a simple tea when the server finally came by. Now she would wait. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Kim was beginning to think she had been fooled when a hooded figure entered and walked directly to her table. "Dr. Kim," the figure said, voice low and slightly mechanical, likely filtered through a translator. "Thank you for coming." "You know about the reckoning," Kim said. It wasn't a question. The figure sat down, keeping the hood low. "I know why they erased it from history, and I know where it might be found." "Who are you?" Kim asked. "Someone who believes some secrets are too dangerous to keep buried forever." The figure slid a small data crystal across the table. "This contains something they missed when they purged the records, something that might lead you to the truth." Kim reached for the crystal, but the stranger kept a finger on it. "Be certain, Dr. Kim. Once you know the truth about the reckoning, there's no going back. And there are those who will kill to keep this secret." Fleet Commander Lee watched through the massive window as the huge warship moved slowly between the stars. The reckoning was unlike any ship humanity had built before. It was painted deep black, with strange angles that seemed to bend light around it. Red markings along its hull were the only color visible against the darkness of space. "Is it everything they promised?" asked Admiral Joe from beside him. Lee nodded slowly. "The engineering teams say all systems are operating beyond expectations. The weapons tests in the outer belt destroyed the target asteroid so completely that our sensors barely registered debris." "And yet you seem troubled," Joe observed. Lee turned from the window. "We built this thing using technology we barely understand. The void core that powers it comes from research that 3 different science teams called too dangerous to pursue. We ignored them all." "We had no choice," Joe said firmly. "The Caldari have taken 7 colonies in 6 months. Millions dead. Earth could be next." Their conversation was interrupted by a young officer entering the observation deck. "Commander Lee, Captain Choi's shuttle has docked. She'll be here momentarily." Lee straightened his uniform. "Thank you, Lieutenant." Admiral Joe lowered her voice. "Are you sure about Choi? Her methods in the Battle of Ta Siti were concerning to many in command. She destroyed 4 Caldari cruisers with a mining vessel and 2 patrol ships," Lee replied. "No one else has managed even 1 victory against them." "By using her own crew as bait," Joe reminded him. 15 dead. "But hundreds saved," Lee countered. "We need that kind of thinking now." The doors slid open and Captain Choi entered. She was shorter than Lee expected, with her dark hair pulled back tightly. Her uniform was perfectly arranged, every medal and rank insignia precisely placed. She moved with calm confidence. "Fleet Commander Lee," she said, offering a perfect salute. Captain Choi reporting as ordered. Lee returned the salute. "At ease, Captain. This is Admiral Joe, who supervised the final construction phases." Choi nodded respectfully to the Admiral. "I studied the technical specifications, but I'd appreciate a first-hand tour of the weapon systems." "Of course," Joe replied. "But first, there are command protocols to transfer." Lee picked up a data tablet from the nearby table. "The reckoning is now yours, Captain. All crew have been notified of the change in command." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Though I must express my reservations about some of the modifications you requested." Choi accepted the tablet, her expression unchanged. "The targeting system enhancements, or the shield harmonics?" "Both," Lee said. "And the Void Cascade weapon. It hasn't been properly tested. The conventional approach has failed us, Commander," Choi replied, meeting his eyes directly. "The Keldari outnumber us 10-1. We need an advantage they won't expect." The commander noticed how her hand tightened slightly around the tablet, the only sign of emotion she displayed. "I've lost 2 ships to the Keldari," she continued. "Watched good officers died while we followed standard tactics. I don't intend to lose a 3rd. Admiral Joe stepped forward. "The ship is ready, Captain. Your crew is already aboard, handpicked as requested. You depart in 6 hours to join the defense fleet at Proxima Centauri." "Thank you, Admiral." Choi looked back to the viewport, studying her new command. "The Keldari believe they understand human warfare. They're counting on us to act predictably. The reckoning will show them how wrong they are." 6 days later, the reckoning hung in space at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. The ship's systems ran silently, all non-essential power diverted to its cloaking field. On the bridge, Captain Choi studied the tactical display. 30 Earth vessels formed a defensive line around the colony world. Against them, sensors detected over 300 Keldari warships approaching in standard attack formation. Long-range scanners confirmed the Keldari fleet is continuing on predicted course, reported Officer Song from the tactical station. "They haven't detected us." "Good," Choi said. "Status of the Void Core." Chief Engineer Ba looked up from his station. "Operating at 93% efficiency, Captain. All weapons systems are charged and ready." Choi nodded, her face calm despite the overwhelming odds they faced. "Begin final preparations. We will engage when they commit to their main attack run." The bridge crew worked silently at their stations. Many had served with Choi before and trusted her completely. Others, newer to her command, watched her with a mixture of awe and fear. Her reputation had spread throughout the fleet. The captain who never lost, who would sacrifice anything for victory. "Enemy fleet accelerating," Song announced. "They're launching their first wave of fighters against our defense line." Choi watched as the human ships began to take damage. 3 destroyers were already showing critical systems failures. "Move us into position," she ordered. "Prepare to drop cloak on my mark." The massive ship glided silently behind the approaching Keldari fleet. Most of their sensors were focused forward on the Earth defensive line. "In position, Captain," the navigation officer reported. Choi stood from her command chair. "All hands to battle stations. Drop cloak and engage primary weapons." The reckoning suddenly appeared behind the Keldari fleet, its black hull absorbing the starlight. Before the enemy could react, brilliant beams of energy cut through space from weapons ports along its length. The first volley destroyed 27 Keldari ships instantly. Their hulls simply vanished, converted to energy by the advanced particle beams. The second volley, fired 3 seconds later, claimed 40 more. "They're turning to engage," Song reported, voice tight with tension. Reading energy spikes across the fleet, they're preparing to fire. "Activate shield harmonics," Choi ordered. "Deploy countermeasures." The Keldari weapons fire splashed against the reckoning shields, diffused by technology they had never encountered before. Meanwhile, the reckoning continued its relentless attack, each perfectly aimed shot finding a critical point on an enemy vessel. 142 enemy ships destroyed, Song reported, amazement in his voice. "They're trying to regroup. Don't give them time," Choi commanded. "Engage secondary drive. Bring us through their formation." The Reckoning moved with impossible speed for a ship its size, cutting directly through the disorganized Keldari fleet. Its weapons fired continuously, destroying ships with surgical precision. On the Keldari command vessel, Admiral Zector watched in horror as his fleet disintegrated around him. "What is this human weapon?" he demanded of his officers. "How can one ship do this?" "Unknown, Admiral," his second responded, fear evident in his voice. "It's using energy signatures we've never encountered." The bridge shook as another blast struck nearby. "Send a message to all surviving ships," Zector ordered. "Retreat immediately." As the Keldari began to flee, the Reckoning pursued, continuing its merciless attack. In less than 20 minutes, 342 enemy vessels had been destroyed. Only a handful escaped. On those retreating ships, the surviving Keldari sent out a desperate warning to their homeworld. The message was simple, transmitted in the clear on all frequencies. "Beware the human darkness." The Reckoning drifted silently at the edge of the Taurus Void, a region of space where stars seemed unusually distant from one another. Captain Choi stood on the bridge, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of tactical displays. For 6 months since their first victory, her ship had become the most feared weapon in human history. "Status report," she requested, her voice calm despite what the sensors showed. Officer Kang looked up from his station, his expression grim. "Confirmed count of enemy vessels now stands at 5,000, Captain. They've formed a spherical containment pattern around us." The bridge fell silent. Even for the Reckoning, these odds seemed impossible. 5,000, repeated Engineer Ba softly. "How did they gather so many ships?" "Fear is a powerful motivator," Choi replied. "The Keldari convinced 6 other species to join them. They believe we threaten all life in the galaxy." The main screen showed the massive fleet surrounding them. Ships of various designs and sizes formed a perfect trap, blocking all possible escape routes. The Reckoning was completely surrounded. "They're hailing us, Captain," reported Communications Officer Jin. "On screen," Choi ordered. The display shifted to show an assembly of 7 different alien beings. The Keldari Admiral Zector stood at the center, his scaled skin reflecting light from multiple sources. "This is your only warning, human vessel," Zector announced. "Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your technologies will be confiscated and your crew imprisoned, but you will live." Captain Choi studied the alien faces without expression. "You've gone to extraordinary lengths to capture one ship, Admiral. Not to capture. To eliminate," corrected a tall, ethereal being to Zector's right. "Your weapon threatens the stability of space itself. We cannot allow it to exist." "You attacked our colonies," Choi responded evenly. "We defended ourselves." "With a weapon that should never have been built," hissed another alien, this one with multiple eyes blinking independently. "Our scientists have studied the energy signatures from your victories. Your ship tears at the fabric of reality." Choi's expression remained unchanged. "You have 1 hour to disperse your fleet and return to your territories. After that, I will take whatever action I deem necessary to protect my ship and crew." Zector leaned forward. "You are surrounded by 5,000 warships. Your arrogance is—" Choi cut the transmission with a small gesture. The bridge was silent again. "They're powering weapons, Captain," Kang reported. "All 5,000 ships." "Just as expected," Choi said. Her voice remained steady, but those who had served with her longest noticed the slight tightening of her jaw, the only sign of tension she ever displayed. "Begin executing Protocol Omega." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had drilled for this scenario dozens of times, though none had truly believed they would face such overwhelming odds. "Navigation, plot the sequence exactly as we practiced," Choi ordered. "Tactical, prepare all conventional weapons. Engineering, Begin charging the Void Core to maximum capacity. Charging Void Core, Engineer Ba confirmed, his fingers dancing across his console. Warning indicators began flashing across his display. Core approaching unsafe levels. Captain. Continue charging, Choi said firmly. Officer Kang looked up from the tactical station, alarm evident in his eyes. Captain, they're moving into attack formation. First wave approaching from all vectors. Evade and counter as planned. Conventional weapons only for now. The reckoning suddenly accelerated, its advanced engines pushing it through a narrow gap in the enemy formation. Enemy weapons fire followed, most missing as the human ship moved with impossible speed and precision. Return fire, targeted pattern, Choi ordered. The reckoning's weapons blazed, striking key vessels with surgical precision. Explosions blossomed across space as dozens of enemy ships were disabled. They're adjusting formation, Kang reported, closing the gaps. Second and third waves moving to intercept. Choi nodded, watching the tactical display. Continue evasive pattern. Draw them into position. For 20 minutes, the reckoning danced through space, drawing enemy ships into a complex, three-dimensional pattern. To outside observers, it appeared the human ship was desperately trying to escape the tightening noose. Void Core at maximum capacity, Bay reported, his voice tense. System safeties have been overridden. Begin final approach, Choi ordered. Prepare to activate the Void Cascade. The reckoning suddenly changed course, diving toward the center of the carefully arranged enemy formation. Officer Kang looked up from his station, sweat visible on his forehead. Ma'am, the Void Cascade hasn't been fully tested. Simulations showed potential for collapse of local space-time. We're out of options, officer. Choi interrupted, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Execute my orders. Kang hesitated only a moment before entering the command sequence. All crew braced for cascade activation. Choi announced ship-wide. May fortune favor the bold. Deep within the reckoning, the Void Core pulsed with dark energy. The ship had maneuvered to the exact center of the enemy fleet, now condensed into a tight formation. Void Cascade activating in 3, 2, 1. Engineer Ba counted down. A strange silence fell across the bridge. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then, space itself appeared to fold inward around the reckoning. What followed defied description. Those who survived would later struggle to explain what they had witnessed. Reality itself seemed to tear open, creating a temporary rupture in the fabric of space-time. A sphere of absolute darkness expanded outward from the reckoning, swallowing everything it touched. Enemy ships vanished by the hundreds, then thousands, pulled into the artificial singularity created by the Void Cascade. The reckoning itself was protected by specially designed shields that created a small bubble of stable space around it. When the effect finally dissipated 90 seconds later, the enemy fleet was gone. Completely gone, as if it had never existed. But something else was missing too. Cascade effect complete, Bay reported, his voice barely above a whisper. Enemy fleet eliminated. Damage report, Choi requested, her voice steady despite what they had just done. Officer Jin turned from her console, her face pale. Captain, long-range sensors indicate the cascade effect expanded beyond our calculated radius. Explain, Choi demanded. 3 inhabited planets in nearby systems were caught in the effect, Jin said, her voice breaking. Terralis, Novar, and Kresh Prime. All 3 show no signs of life or structure. They're just gone. The bridge fell completely silent. 3 planets, billions of lives. Confirm, Choi ordered, her voice finally showing strain. Confirmed, Captain. Jin replied after several long moments. The planets remain, but all signs of civilization and life have been erased. Captain Choi stood perfectly still, her face a mask that revealed nothing of the horror she must have felt. Send immediate notification to Earth Command. Full report, no omissions. Later that night, when the ship had set course for Earth, and the crew had retreated to process what had happened, Captain Choi made her official log entry. She stared at the screen for a long time before typing a single line. "May we be forgiven for what we've done today." Dr. Kim followed the alien through narrow corridors deep in the abandoned mining station. The air smelled stale, and the only light came from strips of emergency lighting that flickered occasionally. Their footsteps echoed against metal floors worn smooth by years of use, and then years of emptiness. The alien walked with a slight limp. He had introduced himself as Han, though Kim suspected this wasn't his real name. His skin had a faint blue tint, and his eyes were set wider apart than a human's. He wore simple clothes that looked worn but clean. "How much farther?" Kim asked, her voice hushed despite the emptiness around them. "Just ahead," Han replied. This section was once the station manager's private quarters. "The security systems still work, which means we can talk safely." They reached a sealed door. Han placed his hand against a panel that lit up briefly, scanning his palm. The door slid open with a groan of disused mechanisms. Inside was a simple room with basic furniture. Han gestured for Kim to sit at a small table while he checked various monitors on the wall. "No one has followed us," he said finally, joining her at the table. "At least, no one I can detect." Kim studied him carefully. "You said you know about the reckoning. I've spent 3 years finding only fragments of information. How do you know more?" Han's expression darkened. "Because its story is my people's story." He reached into his pocket and placed a small, worn holographic projector on the table between them. When activated, it displayed an image of a beautiful world with 3 moons visible in its sky. Sprawling cities gleamed in the sunlight, connected by delicate transport systems that arched through the air. "This was Terralus," Han said softly. "My ancestral home." "Was?" "My grandparents were among the few who weren't on Terralus when it happened. They were traders, off-world when the Reckoning deployed its weapon." His voice remained steady, but his hands trembled slightly. 312 million souls, gone in seconds. Kim stared at the image in horror. "That's not possible. No weapon could destroy an entire planet." "Not destroy. Erase." Han switched the image to show the same planet, but now it appeared lifeless. Cities gone, surface barren. The weapon didn't shatter the planet. It erased all complex matter within its reach. Buildings, people, animals, plants, all gone, reduced to their basic elements. If this ship was so destructive, why isn't it in any official records? Kim asked, struggling to process what she was seeing. Something this significant couldn't just be forgotten. "It wasn't forgotten," Han replied. "It was deliberately erased." After the war, the Galactic Conclave held an emergency session. All 23 member species, including humans, voted unanimously to strike all records of the Reckoning and its technology from history. He switched the hologram again, showing what appeared to be official documents. They feared that knowledge of such technology would lead to more weapons like it. The decision was to destroy the ship, erase all records, and forbid research into similar technologies forever. Han paused, his wide eyes fixed on Kim. "But the humans, your ancestors, they betrayed the agreement." "That's impossible," Kim protested. "Earth would never." "Not Earth government," Han interrupted. "Captain Choi and her loyal crew. They disappeared with the Reckoning before it could be decommissioned. Your own people have been hunting for it ever since." Kim shook her head in disbelief. "That doesn't make sense." "Why would they?" "Because Choi believed the weapon was necessary," Han said. In her final transmission to Earth Command, she claimed to have discovered something worse than the Keldari approaching our galaxy, something that would require the Reckoning's power to defeat. "What was it?" Kim asked. "No one knows." The transmission was cut off before she could explain. Han leaned forward. "For 3 centuries, there have been 2 secret searches happening across the galaxy. The Conclave has been looking for the Reckoning to destroy it, and a secret faction of humans has been looking for it to use it again. Kim felt cold despite the room's comfortable temperature. "And which side are you on?" Han's expression was unreadable. "Neither. My people, the survivors of Tyrillus, simply want the truth preserved. We've watched the Conclave systematically erase all evidence of what happened to our world. They claim it's to prevent panic, but we believe people deserve to know their history. So that's why you contacted me. To preserve history." "Partly," Han admitted, "but also because something has changed. After centuries of silence, there are signs that the reckoning may have been found." He reached into his pocket again and pulled out a small data crystal. "This contains intercepted communications from both Earth intelligence and Conclave security forces. Both are converging on a region near the outer rim. They're close to finding it." Kim took the crystal hesitantly. "Why give this to me? I'm just a researcher." "Because your search has been pure," Han replied. "You wanted knowledge for its own sake, not power or revenge, and because—" He stopped suddenly, tilting his head as if listening. A faint sound reached them, the distinctive hum of docking clamps engaging. Han rushed to the monitors. Security ships. Military class. His fingers flew across the controls. "They've locked onto the station. Someone has tracked you here." Kim stood quickly. "How?" "I was careful. The Conclave has eyes everywhere." Han moved to a section of wall and pressed a hidden panel. A small door slid open, revealing a narrow passage. "This leads to the emergency docks. There's a small transport waiting." "Come with me," Kim urged. Han shook his head. "I can't. I need to erase evidence of our meeting." He hesitated, then pulled a small device from his belt and pressed it into her hand. "These coordinates. The reckoning isn't destroyed. It's waiting." Kim looked at the simple navigation device, then back at Han. "Waiting for what?" "That's what you need to discover." He pushed her gently toward the passage. "Go now. They'll be at the main door in minutes." "But what about you?" My people have evaded the Conclave for 3 centuries, Han said with a grim smile. "We're good at disappearing." A loud alarm suddenly blared through the station. Red emergency lights began to flash. "They've overridden the security systems," Han said urgently. "Go." Kim clutched the navigation device and ducked into the passage. Behind her, the hidden door slid shut. The passage was dark except for dim floor lighting that guided her forward. She ran, hearing distant sounds of the station being searched. The passage sloped downward, leading deeper into the station's structure. After several minutes of running, she reached another door that opened into a small docking bay. As Han had promised, a small transport ship waited. Its systems were already active, running lights glowing softly in the dim bay. Kim hurried aboard and secured the hatch. The ship's controls were simple enough for her to understand. As she initiated the launch sequence, she could hear the station's security doors being forced open in the distance. The transport detached from the station and slipped away into space, its small profile making it difficult to track against the backdrop of nearby asteroid fields. Only when she was safely away did Kim examine the coordinates Han had given her. They pointed to a location in uncharted space, far beyond the normal shipping lanes, where the reckoning waited. For what, she didn't know. But she intended to find out. Kim's small research vessel emerged from faster-than-light travel with a gentle shudder. The stars steadied around her as the ship's systems adjusted to normal space. She checked the coordinates against Han's data device one final time. This was the place. But there was nothing here. Just empty space, a distant star, and the faint glimmer of a nebula on the edge of her viewport. Kim frowned, scanning her sensor readings. Something wasn't right. The energy readings were off the charts, yet visually there was nothing to see. "Computer, run full spectrum analysis," she ordered. Before the system could respond, a powerful force grabbed her ship. It felt like being caught in a strong current. The engines strained but couldn't break free. "Warning. External tractor beam engage. The ship's computer announced calmly. A voice suddenly filled the cabin. It was flat and mechanical, clearly artificial. Unknown vessel. Identity verification required. Kim gripped her control panel, heart racing. "I'm Dr. Kim, archaeologist from Earth University," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. Silence followed. The tractor beam held her ship firmly in place. Kim could hear her own breathing, too fast and shallow. Had she come all this way for nothing? Or worse, had she walked into a trap? Scanning complete, the voice finally announced. "Genetic profile confirmed. Welcome aboard, Doctor." The space in front of her ship seemed to ripple, like heat rising from hot pavement. Then, like a curtain being pulled aside, emptiness gave way to something impossible. A massive structure materialized before her. It was built around what appeared to be a contained black hole, its dangerous energy harnessed by technology she couldn't begin to understand. Spinning rings surrounded the singularity, connected to a vast space station that pulsed with soft blue light. And at the center of it all, docked to the main structure, was a ship. The Reckoning. Even after 3 centuries, there was no mistaking it. The black hull, the strange angles, the red markings, it matched perfectly with the fragments of images she had pieced together over years of research. But unlike those ancient, damaged pictures, this ship looked pristine, as if it had been built yesterday. The tractor beam guided her small vessel toward a docking bay in the main facility. Kim gathered her courage and the few belongings she had brought. Whatever happened next, there was no turning back. The docking procedure completed automatically. When her ship's hatch opened, she found herself stepping into a clean, well-lit corridor. No one was there to meet her. Instead, small lights in the floor activated, creating a path for her to follow. "Please proceed to Command Center," the artificial voice instructed. Kim followed the lighted path through the station. Everything looked perfectly maintained, yet she saw no signs of a crew or any living beings. Automated systems hummed quietly, maintaining the environment. The path led her to a transport tube that carried her deeper into the facility. When the doors opened again, she found herself on what could only be the Reckoning's bridge. It was both alien and familiar. The layout resembled standard Earth ship designs from 3 centuries ago, but the technology was far beyond anything she had ever seen. Displays showed star charts, energy readings, and system diagnostics, all running perfectly after hundreds of years. "Hello," Kim called out, her voice echoing slightly. "Is anyone here?" The air in front of her shimmered, and a figure appeared. It was a woman in an old-style captain's uniform. Her face was stern but not unkind, her posture perfect. Though she appeared solid, Kim could see the faint transparency that marked her as a hologram. "Dr. Kim," the figure said. Her voice was different from the station's artificial intelligence, more natural, with subtle inflections. "I've been waiting for someone like you to find us." "Who are you?" Kim asked, though she already suspected the answer. "I am an artificial intelligence construct based on the neural patterns of Captain Choi," the hologram explained. "The real captain died 200 years ago, but not before she transferred her memories and mission directives to this system." Kim stared at the figure in amazement. The Captain Choi, the one who commanded the Reckoning during the Keldari War. Yes, the hologram moved toward one of the display screens, gesturing for Kim to follow. The same captain who made the difficult decision to use the Void Cascade weapon. The weapon that destroyed 3 inhabited worlds, Kim said quietly. The hologram's expression showed genuine regret. "A remarkable achievement for an AI. A tragedy that has haunted me, haunted her, every day since. But there was something the records don't show, something even the Galactic Conclave never knew." Images appeared on the screen. Complex energy patterns, strange readings, and what looked like tears in the fabric of space itself. "The Void Cascade wasn't just a weapon," the AI continued. "It was a window into something beyond our universe, and through that window, we glimpsed something coming toward our galaxy. Something ancient and hungry." Kim studied the readings with growing concern. "What are these?" The cascade created a temporary breach between dimensions. In that moment, Captain Choi saw them, vast entities moving through the darkness between galaxies. She calculated their trajectory and speed. The hologram turned to face Kim directly. The captain predicted they would reach our galaxy in approximately 300 years. 300 years, Kim repeated slowly. From when the weapon was used. Yes, the hologram nodded. When the Conclave ordered the Reckoning destroyed, Captain Choi couldn't tell them what she had seen. They were too angry, too frightened by what the ship had done. So she and her loyal crew brought the Reckoning here, to wait. To wait for what? For the right person to find us. For the threat to approach. For the time when the Reckoning would be needed again. The AI gestured around them. This facility has maintained the ship in perfect condition. The crew eventually died or left, but automated systems continued their work, and I continued to watch. Suddenly, a high-pitched alarm sounded throughout the bridge. Red warning lights flashed on multiple displays. "What's happening?" Kim asked, alarmed. The hologram moved quickly to a central console. Long-range sensors have detected something entering the galaxy from the direction of the Andromeda cluster. Multiple objects, massive in size, moving faster than should be possible. The main screen changed to show a star map of the galaxy's edge. Dark shapes were visible, moving between the stars like shadows underwater. "They're here," the AI said simply. Kim stared at the screen in horror. "What are they?" "We don't know their true nature, only that they consume everything in their path. Matter, energy, even space-time itself." The hologram's expression grew more urgent. "The Reckoning is ready. All systems are operational. The Void Core has been maintained at stable power levels." "What are you saying?" Kim asked, though she already knew the answer. "The ship needs a commander, Dr. Kim. It needs someone to make the choice Captain Choi made 300 years ago." The hologram gestured to the captain's chair. "I can guide you, but I cannot take action without human authorization." Kim looked at the chair, then back at the screen showing the approaching darkness. "If these things are real, why hasn't anyone else detected them?" she asked.